So we've got the Sydney Racing Review now, thanks to topsport.com.au, and I'm joined by Mark Rhoden. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, surviving in self-isolation, but still here.
I think it's the case for all of us, but we've still got racing, so we push on, which is good. We'll have a look at Rosehill from Saturday. It was the Tancred Stakes meeting, so the Tancred Stakes and the Vinery Stud were the main events. We'll just mention too that because we're doing the videos remotely for the time being, so it gives us the opportunity to sort of view each other's screens. So that's just what everyone's seeing at the moment, which is a bit of a front page of your database. So a lot of information there, but I'm sure if there's anything particular you want to refer to, you'll let us know.
Yeah, I will.
No worries. All right, we'll dive straight in. Race 1 was the Ranvet Handicap over the 1400 metres. Royal Celebration for Ron Quinton got the job done from Hanger and Insensata. Good start to the day for you.
It was, yeah. It was one of our stronger bets for the day, Royal Celebration, and well ridden by Sam Clipperton too, who I thought was going to lead or be outside lead. But Tom Marquand on Purple Sector, one of the roughies, kicked up and posted in 3 wide for the early section of the race, but he didn't panic and he got it in, 1 out, 1 back, and got him travelling, and he got the job done in the straight for us. 1 out, 1 back wasn't the ideal place to be. You're much better off being on the rails in the run, as was shown by Hanger and Insensata running the placings at double figure odds. Hanger was in the box seat and Insensata was back last, but on the fence and cut the corner. So that gave us, that was how I expected the track to play, and that was pretty much confirmed after 1 race, I thought. Our other bet, Top Prospect, got the sort of run I thought it would, but didn't quite measure up to Saturday class after winning in midweek. Raid first up. Was well backed because of the map, I think. Sorry, Thunder, the import, at 1400 short of his best trip, but he closed off very well. Did have the rails and run trip, which suited him, but he's ticking over all right, so keep an eye out for him when he gets up in distance. As to the betting here, it was a good race to bet on, I thought, because Sausage, who was a well back, or pretty solid second favourite for most of the morning, really had the job against him with his racing style. He always gets back. He's pretty one-dimensional, and he sort of made the market for us to have a bet into the race, and luckily get the winner with Royal Celebration.
You did mention the track pattern. There are a few comments throughout the day. Did you think it was a really strong bias, or stronger than you expected? Anyway,
it was about what I expected, which was pretty strong. On pace, definitely favoured, and rails and run definitely favoured. But then getting off the straight off the fence in the straight was probably a plus as well. What you could not do was circumnavigate. The only horse to really make any sort of wide run and perform well was Very Elegant, who had a lap on that field, as it turned out. So be very forgiving of horses who are trying to do that.
Okay, race 2 was the Shrip of Essence over 1400. Tom Marquand got the job done. Holyfield, SP'd at $8.50. So decent result there from Untamed, and Time is Precious.
Yeah, we were on I Am Swerving and Time is Precious. I wanted to bet into the race because I didn't like the Black Opal form, which was one of the main lead-ups to this. Holyfield came through the Black Opal and won after perfect ride in the right spot, and Untamed drew barrier 1 and had the soft run as well. So again, that confirmed what we thought about the way the track was playing. Time is Precious seemed to have a good enough run. It was well beaten. I Am Swerving was sort of one off in the run. Just kept on okay. Didn't really finish the race off.
Yep.
I did have Holyfield. Of those that came through the Black Opal, I had Holyfield the shortest. I had it about half the price of Return with Honour, who was the opening favourite. I thought it had no chance with the map, and it finished well back. Funny enough, Bowman snagged it out of the gates and took it back to last, and I thought, he's going to ride for the pattern here. He's been clever. He's found the fence, or he can find the fence whenever he wants it, but then he took off 100 wide around the turn, and that was the end of it. And it's been beaten 11 months. So that's why I was keen to bet into the race, but it just jumped the wrong way. I mean, Return with Honour was clearly the run of the race, and the Black Opal had no luck at all, and it felt a bit funny having Holyfield shorter than it anyway. But if I'd been a bit more aggressive with the map and my opinion of the pattern, maybe I could have found Holyfield, but I was happy enough with the bets. They just they just either weren't suited or weren't good enough. So yeah, we move on.
No worries. Race 3 was the Tancred Stakes for the 3-year-olds over the 2000. Quick Thinker, pretty heavily fancied and proved to be as such. SP to $2.70 from Zabrowski and Diasonic.
Yeah, it sort of got. It certainly had the strongest form line. Quick Thinker coming out of the Funstar Proverbial race, the Barnard Stakes. That was far stronger lead-up form than anything else in the market. I ended up with about what the market was, so I let the race go. In retrospect, it could have been on Quick Thinker. James McDonald ended up riding this track very well on Saturday too, and yeah, he did nothing wrong here and was on the best horse. Zabrowski stepping up from midweek grade did okay, and yeah, the other one, Pride of Adelaide, got easy in the market. I thought they might back it because of the pattern, because it did look the leader, but the horse is just does too much wrong. He just will not settle. Nathan Doyle, the trainer at Newcastle, has got his work cut out trying to harness this horse's ability, because he is pretty good. He obviously can run, but he's his own worst enemy at the moment, and yeah, far from the finished article, as they say.
Any obviously usually a big lead up race to the Derby. Quick Thinker, any show there, do you think?
You'll go there. Yeah, I think the last 3 Tancred Stakes winners have won the Derby the following week.
Yeah.
It'd need to be a wet track for him to beat the likes of the big guns like Castelvecchio and Warning and maybe Shadow Hero. They're pretty classy. But yeah, he's in the race, especially if it's wet again.
Yeah. Okay. Race 4 was the Neville Selwood over the 2,000 metres. Waller and James McDonald again, Night's Watch at $8.50 from Eliferous and Shadow Flight.
Yeah, great ride, this McDonald. He on a horse that gets back, but from 8 he found the rails and cut the corner, did everything right, and won in a photo. We were on House of Cardia and Mount Tabora, who were both backed at bigger odds. Unfortunately, in a way, brought each other undone. I thought Mount Tabora was going to lead, and then the change of tactics came through from the stable didn't want to lead, which was a great help. And House of Cardia was drawing the outside, and I thought he was going to Cripperton again was going to have to do a bit of work and be a bit clever to find his way in, but he did the right thing. He pressed on. But then Tom Marquand on Mount Tabora saw him coming, and his competitive urges kicked in, and he wouldn't let him cross easily, so he made him work for about 300 metres, 400 metres. And it was a huge run from House of Cardia. She's flying, I think. Just got completely barbecued up front. And then, of course, Tim Clark on the leader wanted to run him along, and Jamara on the roughie, and it just turned out awfully for House of Cardia. And she was still there kicking it up to the 200. It was a terrific run. Hope she's not flattened now, and I hope there is a race for her in the coming weeks if we're still racing, but she's going very well. I was very happy with that bet. It just didn't pan out. Eliferous has lobbed in the right spot and run up to her very best again. We're on her last start. She's going very well. She's just fallen just short her last 2. Shadow Flight was back. Barrier 1, I'm pretty sure, was behind that. It has gone. That is by far the best run of its career, and I'd be wary about it repeating it next start under different circumstances.
So depending where it pops up, House of Cardia possibly one to watch.
Yeah, maybe back in mare's grade in around this distance range.
Yep. Okay, race 5 was the Star Kingdom over the 1200. Turned into a bit of a battle late, and as we keep saying, when that happens, there's only one man you want to be on, and Tom Marquand got Vega Days up at $11 from Manicure and Old Mate Special K.
Yeah, yes, he's a good man to have on your side in that situation. We had 3 bets here: Commentary, the winner, and Tactical Advantage. They run 1, 3, 4. I've probably priced the one in the middle of the Manicure a bit aggressively, thinking she was better off in mare's grade, but she's a terrific first up horse, and she drew the right spot, ran really well. We were just fortunate that, yeah, the power of Marquand was enough to get it home on Vega Days, who I thought he'd be very close to speed, but I didn't expect him to lead. But Tom Marquand just took charge of this race, which helped in getting rid of Villamai, because once it couldn't cross, it was in big strife and weakened. And yeah, fortunately, he was strong enough late to get the money. Kementari ran well. yeah, as I said, he was back at odds in the $5 to $6 range, and he's been beaten 0.6 at length. He's run okay. It's not like Galdo's when he was going into 220 first up, so he was worth the spec. Tactical advantage, drew the right spot. He couldn't quite finish off. Probably too wet for him again. I thought it was going to be a bit drier than it actually turned out being. But again, it was a good race to bet into because we had Villamite taking up a lot of percentage from the outside gate, up in class and distance, and Handle the Truth. They just wanted to keep specking and keeping in the market. He just napped awful, I thought, and he's been well beaten. So yeah, got the money.
Yeah, right. So depending on price, Kevin Tari going forward didn't do a whole lot wrong.
He didn't do a lot wrong, but I think he's not top class weight for age. I think we know that now, unless he takes a step forward off that, and I don't think he will. I think he's pretty primed to go there on Saturday. He's not top class weight for age, and he's, because of these deeds as a 3-year-old, his handicap rating is too high for him to win handicap. So he's in an awkward spot, I think, going forward.
Okay. All right. Race 6 was the first of the Group 1s, the Tancred, over a 1.5 miles.
Yep.
Very elegant, strongly backed, and just looked a class above. I think it was 4.5 lengths in the end at one by from Mr. G and Avilius.
Yep. Danceteria taking off mid-race really put it on for us. She had settled quite a way back, so I didn't have a bet in the race. I was pretty similar to the market, but I was very interested in how it was going to unfold with her getting back a bit, but then Danceteria taking off really played into her hands, and she's a donkey. Yeah, she is a very classy weight for age horse, really top class weight for age horse. As I might have said last week after she's been beaten by Dave, anyone questioning her, desire for the contest or calling her a cat or anything, I think is quite wrong. She'd run into 2 absolute top class Group 1 weight for age horses in the Dave and Tarkow Shark and get in the races. And she proved today, with the absence of an opponent of that calibre, she dominated them. Mustaji, a very good 2,400 metre horse, going well. I'm not sure where they're going with it, because it doesn't seem to be in Sydney Cup markets, but he is going well. Avilius, speculating with some other people late last week about whether they might ride him with a bit of intent. They didn't at all, and he whacked away again. Just an absolute no for me from here on in on anything other than a hitting 9 or 10, I think. And yeah, the margins did get pretty spread out after that. Morgan 2 was in the market, didn't measure up. It was a bridge too far for him this class at this stage. Yeah, and can't really say too much about the others.
Okay, on to race 7, which was the other Group 1 of the day, the Vinery Stud over the 2,000 for the 3-year-old fillies. So it was billed as the next chapter of the Funstar Probabile Clash, but shout the bar for Gay and Adrian. Bit of a boil over, $15 from Probabile, and Nudge in third. Funstar run fourth. Yeah,
it just goes. I mean, this was farcically run. It was about a 500 metre dash home with that, and it just shows you when you get. I think when you get either ridiculously fast or ridiculously slow paces, the more random results do get thrown up. None of these fillies would get near Funstar or Probabile in a truly run race, certainly at 1,600 and probably not at 2,000 either. Yep. But Hieronymus is just dictated here from the front. As the Argo came round but put no pressure on. I just missed a nice result on Probabile. I thought she was over the odds in relation to Funstar, and we were very, very close. And I don't want to be too critical of Kay McAvoy's ride here. His strike rate has been pretty poor in the last 2 to 3 months. People might have seen, and I thought this was worth backing because it was going to be closer in the run than it was in the start previous in the Tancred Stakes. And I was very pleased to see him show a bit of dash out of the gates and get it up in the first 3. I do think he handed it up to death to Funstar a bit too easily. I can see what he was thinking. He was thinking, right, well, this is the odds-on favourite. I'm trailing it. We'll take him to the race, and if we're good enough, we're good enough. But it didn't pan out like that, especially as all the pace just went out of the race in the middle stages, for about the middle 1,000 metres of the race. And she was just left with a tiny bit too much to do. She's run really well, but the ride on the winner was too good from Hieronymus and Shout the Bar, and fell just short at a very nice price, unfortunately. And Nudge, who stepped up in class, but I'm not sure how good Nudge is, but Barrier 1 Nashville got every chance and went to her best as well. Punter, I don't know, just a bit plain, really. Can't really explain that one. I would have thought. I mean, you could say the slow tempo's brought her undone, but it should have brought, she's still been beaten by a length by Probably, who was coming from behind us. So I think at first glance, you'd have to say she was a bit plain.
Yeah, so in that situation, obviously highly rated horse and has put in a bit of a less than inspiring run, sort of one-off. How do you treat that going forward?
Well, I think as a general rule, forgiving them one bad run is a good policy, and you can often get a good price if the market overreacts. But it depends on the case. I think everyone assumed Funstar was going to appreciate the 2,000 metres because she's by Adelaide, but that may not be the case. I mean, she hadn't run past 1,600 before, and that was in the Flight Stakes when she led in an absolute walk and was able to kick away and dominate. So perhaps the distance was the problem, and if the Oaks is indeed where she ends up, then that might be a problem. It looks like the Probable camp have decided to press on towards the Oaks, and I'd be a little bit worried about her too, because if they think that her closing off nicely there at the end was proof she's going to run 2,400, I'd have to disagree, because that was not a 2,000 metre race on Saturday. It was about a 600 metre race. So she's by Savabeel. She might get it, especially against her own age and sex, but that didn't prove anything about her staying credentials on Saturday, I don't think.
Okay, so a few question marks to come out there.
Yeah, and the Oaks is often a race where, it can go one or two ways. A filly with a big class edge can win despite not really being a 2,400 metre horse, or you get some really new, often even provincial form coming through, the rapid improver who's looking for the trip. So there's one or two of those. There's a horse called Colette from Godolphin Yard who's been very impressive with the provincials of late. It's heading to the Oaks. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see there. Have to wait and see if they run it for a start.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Race 8 was the Emancipation over 1,500 for the fillies and mares. Positive piece for Bjorn Baker, $7.50 from Noya and Amangiri. How did you see this pan
out? Back sweet deal. 1,500 on the softish track was too much for her, despite having been drawn the perfect spot.
Yep.
Yeah, and the track was a little bit more testing than I'd anticipated, so yeah, probably wasn't a great bet at the prices it panned out. And positive piece, well, I missed her. I mean, she was backable odds on Saturday morning. She was $10, $11. My problem was I've missed her 5 times in a row now. It was a bit late to come in on her, and also this really did look afterthoughty because with the threat of racing closing down over everyone's head, they've coming to this on a 7-day backup, having what looked like a real last ditch throw at black type. And I thought this does seem like an afterthought to me, but she just continues to race so well and perfectly certain by the pattern again, was right up on speed and got the job done again. And Gary first up, she's gone really well, and Noir drew the right spot and also went to her best. Pahudakawa, I don't know. I mean, yeah, just continues to go around under the odds with this poisonous racing pattern, especially in tracks like this, and yeah, 750, well beaten again down the track. But unfortunately, I couldn't find the winner again.
No worries. And the last of the day was the Doncaster Prelude over 1,500. I think you had a couple of small bets, and Mask at Time just missed a big result. Just got rolled by 0.2 of a length by Cascadian for Godolphin.
Yeah.
Tom Marquand. He's
no,
failed for us. We might have to bin him.
Yeah, he couldn't have done much more, to be honest. He rode it travelling beautifully. It was, yes, a bit hard to take. This is the second time Cascadian's done this to me. He did it to me last spring when we were on Dealmaker at Randwick one day, and he appeared from nowhere and got up in the last ride in identical fashion. great run, Master Time. He's gone to his absolute best, and unfortunately, just been beaten. Cascadian's gone to his absolute top as well. And this was a great ride at McDonald. He didn't find the rail from the outside barrier, but he got one off, and then picked runs through rather than trying to set off 8 wide around the turn. If I wish he had, he wouldn't want. But tremendous rider. You had the absolute 2 best jockeys in Sydney, both at the top of their game in this last race, and a half a head between them. They both had very good days, both rode very well, and had the 2 of them going wide together in the last. Unfortunately, just fell the wrong way for us. Again, I thought it was a good race to bet into. I didn't like Cascadian's map, but McDonald's been able to overcome it. I thought he was under the odds. I thought Star of the Seas was grossly under the odds. Coming off a fast pace 1100 metre win first up, just did not look to get the right run here. And so that was making the market for us. So I was happy to expect a couple of ruffies, but unfortunately, just missed. And yeah, just needed one of, say, Market Time or Master Time, or probably be able to get the money. We've had a good day again. As it was, we were pretty close to square. So no harm done, but yeah, close but no cigar on Saturday.
Just on the jockeys, jockey ratings, I'm assuming is one of the factors that get baked into your markets. Are they adjusted regularly for form, or is it more just an overall longer term class thing? Because as you were saying, you've got a few jockeys at the moment who really seem to be in good touch. Yeah,
sort of look at 2 ways: last 18 months and last 60 days. Are the 2 ways I sort of slice it. So if someone's scoring well on both, then they're the ones that get the most. You're going to get the most value out of in terms of rating. And yeah, so if someone has had an ordinary last 60 days, and the Twitter sphere and the media is all over them and against them, if you've still got that strong last 18 months rating, that will stop you from penalising them too harshly, because they're still clearly a good rider. They're not just having a bit of a flat spot, and that'll allow you to perhaps not be too harsh on them when the pendulum swings back in their favour. But yeah, the last 18 months for that longer term view, and last 60 days for recent form.
Just had one last question. Just with your betting, you may be betting a little bit wider in the market of late, and having a fair bit of success with it.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, we've spoken about this a bit, about the change in the market in the last 12 months or so, the increasing taxation on bookmakers and increasing percentage in early markets. Yeah, I had to change my approach. I mean, you should be evolving anyway, because whatever happens on the taxation front, the market is going to evolve naturally. Yep. But I'd sort of had a very good run just backing my top selections that were well clear, and you could almost back them blindly, regardless of price, and they were almost able to be set and forget in the morning. That avenue obviously started not to work last year, and I've had to adjust. And yeah, looking wider has proved fruitful. So my pricing I've been very happy with the last 6 weeks, 2 months in particular. The results have been good, so as long as I keep racing, I'm going to keep approaching it this way, and yeah, hopefully this run continues.
Just following the value.
Yeah, it's still going to be a lot. I mean, and you'll see the difference in bet sizing too. So there's a lot of smaller bets, but they are value plays. The strike rate long term won't be as high, although we have had a pretty good run with them lately. But then on those top picks and favourites in my market that I think still are good betting value, they're the ones we're going to be having the bigger bets on, such as, for instance, Royal Celebration on Saturday.
Very good. All right. Well, yeah, we're probably a little bit of a week-to-week proposition, but racing is fighting on at the moment. So we're back to Randwick next week for a bit of a cut price championships by the sound of it, but should still be a good meeting.
Yeah, unfortunately, the odds and evens bet type hasn't been able to save the prize money for them, which is disappointing. But the racing will still be on. We've got 11 races at Newcastle tomorrow to start with, including the rescheduled Wyong Provincial Championship qualifier. Yep. 8 pretty big fields at Rosehill on a Wednesday, and for Gosford Thursday as well. So there's plenty on, but it is, as you say, a bit of a day-by-day proposition. So as I said, I think even last week, I'm just going to make hay while the sun shines until they call us off, because that's all we can do.
Mm. Yeah, I don't want to have to ask you again for your odds and evens betting model. We've been waiting patiently for that, but
No, I don't think trying to harvest any value out of those $5 and $10 pools is really worthwhile long term. So I'll let it go.
no problems. All right. Well, yeah, all being well, we'll chat to you a bit later in the week, and we'll yeah, get a good preview of day one of the championships at Randwick.
Let's hope so. Look forward to it.
Cheers.